Today, in the media conference with Lal GOEL, which is brought to you by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, and Organ Donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. But before I will go on the main topic, today's topic is very, very relevant, very hot, very controversial. The topic is government versus judiciary. But before we will go on that main topic, I would like to inform you that today India is observing Lala Lajpat Rai birth anniversary. Every year on January 28th, India observes the birth anniversary of freedom fighter Lala Lajpat Rai, popularly known as Punjab Kesari or the Lion of Punjab. He played a pivotal role in India's independence movement. Lala Lajpat Rai was a great historian, eminent editor, social and religious reformer, and powerful orator. He also founded the Servants of the People's Society at Lahore in 1921, which worked in various fields. In 1920, Lala Lajpat Rai was elected as the president of the Indian National Congress. He was one of the prominent leaders of the Congress who formed the trinity of militant leaders Lal Bal Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Bipin Chandra Pal. His famous quote is very relevant in present time. I quote, "The correct thing for us to do is to strive for a democratic Raj in which the Hindus, the Muslims, and the other communities may participate as Indians and not as followers of any particular religion," unquote. Media conference with Lal GOEL hopes that all will follow Lala Lajpat Rai's philosophy in true spirit. Now coming to our today's topic, that is government versus judiciary. As per Article 13, subsection 2 of the Constitution, I quote, "The state shall not make any law which takes away or abridges the rights conferred by this part, and any law made in contravention of this clause shall, to the extent of the contravention, be void," unquote. Fundamental rights cannot be abridged or taken away by the amending procedure in Article 368 of the Constitution. An amendment to the Constitution is law within the meaning of Article 13, subsection 2, and is therefore subject to Part 3 of the Constitution. Can the Parliament curtail or nullify the fundamental rights granted to the Indian citizens by the Constitution? Can an amendment to any section of the Constitution be regarded as a law? Keshav Chandra Bharti and others versus State of Kerala and another writ petition civil 135 of 1970, also known as the Keshav Nand Bharti judgment, was a landmark decision of the Supreme Court of India that outlined the basic structure doctrine of the Indian Constitution. The case is also known as the Fundamental Rights case. The court in a 7-6 decision asserted its right to strike down amendments to the Constitution that were in violation of the fundamental architecture of the Constitution. This means the Constitution is supreme. Parliament can enact new laws or bring amendments, but Supreme Court has full power to scrutinize. After CGI took the office, attack on judiciary by government representatives increased. Our law minister publicly criticized collegium system and wanted government say in that. Our honorable vice president criticized the landmark Keshwanand Bharti judgment, which was earlier welcomed by the present ruling party. Honorable Supreme Court also bring in public domain the reason of delay for appointment of judges by government. Amid escalating attacks from the center on the Supreme Court's collegium system of appointments to higher judiciary, former Supreme Court Judge Justice R. Fali Nariman, who himself was a part of the collegium before retiring in August 2021, took on Law Minister Kiran Raju head-on at a public event on this Friday, that is yesterday, calling his public remarks on the judiciary diatribe. Mr. Nariman reminded the law minister that it is his bounden duty to accept the judgments of the court, whether right or wrong. Without naming him, he also took on Vice President Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, who has questioned the basic structure doctrine, saying the basic structure is here to stay, and thank God it has come to stay. This was by Honorable Justice R. Fali Nariman, who has spoken in a public meeting yesterday. This tutu meme between government and judiciary is going on in the public domain, whether good or bad. And that's why we have chosen this topic about the government versus judiciary. Although when I selected the topic, many topics, you cannot say the government versus judiciary, it can be government and judiciary or some other thing. But what we are seeing in the media, very unfortunate, that from both sides, and that's why we have chosen this topic. And today, to discuss this very, very important, relevant, controversial, hot topic, we have a very elite legal luminaries are with us who have vast experience in judiciary or in the law, as well as they knows about the basic doctrine and the functioning of the courts as well as the government. I would like to introduce and invite my first panelist guest, and he is Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra. Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra is the former chairman of review committee. Is the former Allahabad High Court judge. He is the chairman of review committee, which looks after Prevention of Unauthorized Activities Act. He welcome Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra on our show. But before I will take your views, I would like to read out the opinions sent by our viewers. The first opinion has come from Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma. He is a leading lawyer of Western UP and with more than 43 years of practice. And his opinion is, the dispute is of supremacy, but neither Supreme Court is supreme nor government is supreme. It is the Constitution which is supreme. Parliament cannot form any law against the provisions of Constitution. Some way Supreme Court cannot decide anything against Constitution. No one can travel beyond the Constitution. But surprisingly, government is trying to capture the judicial system by appointing its own people. So was done by Mrs. Gandhi also. It shows dictatorship is approaching us. These are the views of Advocate Ramesh Kumar Sharma, who is a leading lawyer of Western UP with 3 years of experience. One more viewer has sent her opinion, and she is Miss Hemlata, former airport manager, Chennai. And according to her, the judiciary safeguards the rights of the citizens to ensure peace and harmony. It prevents any form of violation of law. Sometimes it remains single ray of hope for the right people. The courts can question the government but can't make laws. But I want to know that whether judges in India are free from political influence. This question or the opinion is from Miss Hemlata, who is the former airport manager, Chennai. Now, welcome, Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra. You have heard the opinion of two viewers. One was an advocate, a very senior advocate, and another is a former airport manager, as well as the introduction which I have read, plus the view of Honorable Justice R. Fali Nariman, which he has given in public domain. Being a very reputed judge yourself in High Court, you have seen also today, what is happening for last 2-3 months, I must say, this thing is coming in public. Earlier, we used to see the leader of opposition, the opposition party is fighting with the ruling party, tutu meme. But now it has come that the judiciary and government. So government versus judiciary. We would like to know the views of Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra, please.
सभी लोगों को मेरा प्रातःकालीन नमस्कार। जैसा कि अभी आपने बताया, ब्रदर रमेश शंकर जी का जो सीनियर एडवोकेट हैं, ये सच है कि संविधान ही सर्वोपरि है। जैसा आपने बताया, केशवानंद भारती केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट की 13 जजेस की बेंच ने 7:6 से ये तय किया था कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर हम चेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं। बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर कहीं पे डिफाइन नहीं है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, इसको हम लोग बिटवीन द लाइंस ही पढ़ते हैं। अब जहां तक अभी हमको बड़ा अच्छा लगा जब ऑनरेबल लॉ मिनिस्टर ने अभी कहा कि इट शुड नॉट बी टेकन एज गवर्नमेंट वर्सेस जुडिशरी, क्योंकि इट इज अ सिंपल डिस्कशन। ये इसमें इट शुड नॉट बी टेकन एज अ बैटल। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जैसा कि हम सबको पता है 93 के पहले तक यह जो प्रोविजन दिया हुआ है वो कंसल्टेशन का दिया हुआ है। प्रेसिडेंट कंसल्टेशन करेंगे चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ द हाई कोर्ट जज के लिए, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट चीफ जस्टिस और सीनियर जज से। 81 में 1981 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक बेंच ने यह तय किया कि कंसल्टेशन और कॉन्करेंस में फर्क है, और प्राइमेसी उन्होंने एग्जीक्यूटिव की मान ली। लेकिन 1993 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक लार्जर बेंच ने, प्रोबेबली 9 जजेस बेंच ने, यह तय किया कि नहीं, कंसल्टेशन शुड बी टेकन एज कॉन्करेंस, और कॉन्करेंस में भी कोर्ट जो है वो प्रिवेल करेगी। कोर्ट का जो भी विश होगी वो प्रिवेल करेगी। और उसके बाद 1998 में उन्होंने कॉलेजियम सिस्टम को अडॉप्ट कर लिया, और तब से कॉलेजियम सिस्टम चल रहा है। जैसा कि ये कहा गया कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को बिना अमेंड किए ये पॉसिबल नहीं है, मैं समझता हूं इसमें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का अमेंडमेंट बिल्कुल जरूरी नहीं है, क्योंकि आज भी प्रोविजन वही है कि कंसल्टेशन आज भी अपॉइंटमेंट चाहे वो हाई कोर्ट जज का हो या सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज का हो, प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया ही करते हैं, और इन कंसल्टेशन विद द हाई कोर्ट चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट और सीनियर जजेस या चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया एंड सीनियर जजेस के हिसाब से करते हैं। केवल कंसल्टेशन को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इंटरप्रिटेट किया है कि कंसल्टेशन का मतलब कॉन्फ्रेंस होगा, और कॉन्फ्रेंस वही होगा जो जजेस भेजेंगे, तो वो उसकी प्राइमेसी होगी। अब यहां पर देखिए कुछ चीजें बहुत जरूरी हैं। जैसे एडवोकेट्स का एलिवेशन जब होता है तो एडवोकेट्स की का आईक्यू, उनकी इंटेलिजेंस, उनकी वर्किंग स्टाइल, ये केवल जजेस ही जान सकते हैं। ये बाहर के लोग नहीं जान सकते हैं कि जजेस कि उन एडवोकेट्स में कितनी डेप्थ है जिनको हमको एलिवेट करना है। लेकिन अब आप जैसे देख रहे हैं, हम लोगों ने कहना शुरू किया है, एक राजनीति में वंशवाद को खत्म करने की बात शुरू हुई, हमारे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने शुरू किया। तो अब लोगों ने उंगलियां उठाई कि वंशवाद तो आपके यहां भी है, और लोगों ने गलत नहीं कहा। सोशल मीडिया पर जो कहा गया वो सही कहा गया कि हमारे यहाँ भी 150-200 फैमिलीज हैं जिनके यहाँ जब बच्चे पैदा होते हैं और लॉ में एडमिशन लेते हैं तो हम लोग मान लेते हैं कि ये वुड बी जजेस हैं। तो वंशवाद यहाँ भी खत्म होना चाहिए, ये सच है, और गवर्नमेंट का ऑब्जेक्शन इस तरफ कुछ हद तक ठीक भी है। लेकिन फिर भी मेरा मानना ये है कि इसमें कॉन्करेंस में जो प्राइमेसी होनी चाहिए और जो डोमिनेंस होना चाहिए वो जजेस का ही होना चाहिए, ताकि एक इंडिपेंडेंस बनी रहे। एनजेएससी आया, एनजेएससी को चैलेंज किया गया। एनजेएससी में उन्होंने एक प्रोविजन रखा था कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के 2 सीनियर जजेस, चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया, लॉ मिनिस्टर एक्स ऑफिशियो, और 2 इमिनेंट पर्सन्स जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर, लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन मिलकर तय करेंगे, 2 इमिनेंट पर्सन्स को। और जहां तक मुझे याद पड़ रहा है कि शायद उसमें भी था कि अगर 2 लोगों ने किसी नाम पे आपत्ति की, ऑब्जेक्शन किया, तो फिर उनको ड्रॉप करना पड़ेगा। तो ये यहाँ पर ये माना गया कि अब गवर्नमेंट की ओर से 3 लोग हो गए। ऐसा माना गया कि इमिनेंट पर्सन्स चूंकि गवर्नमेंट ही अपॉइंट करेगी, नॉमिनेट करेगी, और एक्स ऑफिशियल लॉ मिनिस्टर उसमें होंगे। और अगर 2 लोगों ने किसी नाम को ड्रॉप किया तो फिर जजेस की सुप्रीमेसी या जजेस की प्राइमेसी खत्म हो जाएगी और वो नाम ड्रॉप हो जाएगा। तो एनजेएससी को इस आधार पर स्टेप डाउन भी किया गया। सिस्टम कॉलेजियम का भी अब विवादित है, क्योंकि ये सच है कि हाई कोर्ट जजेस लेवल पे केवल 3 लोग बैठ के, चीफ जस्टिस और 2 सीनियर जजेस बैठ के तय कर लेते हैं कि किसको जज बनाना है और किसको नहीं बनाना है। और वो अगर 45 ईयर्स के एज में एलिवेट हो गया तो 17 साल तक वो निर्विवाद रूप से जज बना रहता है। आपको ये पता है कि इम्पीचमेंट लगभग इम्पॉसिबल है, तो उनको आप 17 साल तक फिर हटा भी नहीं सकते हैं। डिफरेंट चार्जेस होते हुए हम लोगों ने देखा है, पास्ट में मेडिकल स्कैम में कुछ लोगों के नाम आए थे और उसके बावजूद हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन इस कॉलेजियम सिस्टम में कुछ सुधार जरूर आवश्यक है। सुधार के लिए नंबर ऑफ जजेस कॉलेजियम के बढ़ाए जा सकते हैं। ये भी हो सकता है कि एक लिस्ट गवर्नमेंट भी प्रपोज करे और एक लिस्ट हाई कोर्ट की भी हो। आईबी रिपोर्ट के बाद उनको देखा जाए उनकी क्या परफॉर्मेंस है। और मेरा मानना यह है कि हालांकि इस पे बहुत से लोग तैयार नहीं होंगे, लेकिन इस सारी कंट्रोवर्सी को खत्म करने के लिए अगर इंडियन जुडिशियल सर्विस बना दी जाए और सर्विस का कोटा 80% कर दीजिए, आप आईएएस के पैटर्न पे इंडियन जुडिशियल सर्विस बना दीजिए। ये कह दिए कि 80% जजेस इंडियन जुडिशियल सर्विस से ही जाएंगे और एडवोकेट जजेस जिनको 20% को हम एलिवेट करेंगे, एडवोकेट्स को, वो सब के सब आफ्टर 53-54 की एज की बात करेंगे, जिससे कि उनका टेन्योर मैक्सिमम 7 साल का हो पाए और ये कंट्रोवर्सी कॉलेजियम वाली खत्म हो जाएगी। जिससे कि ये होगा कि वो कॉलेजियम में शायद एडवोकेट्स आ भी नहीं पाएंगे। सर्विस जजेस जो आएंगे वो एक आफ्टर पासिंग ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन आएंगे और फिर शायद नेपोटिज्म भी खत्म हो जाए और ये भी खत्म हो जाए कि किसको कैसे बनाना है। इसमें एक्स ऑफिशियल लॉ मिनिस्टर जोड़े जा सकते हैं, लेकिन मेजॉरिटी व्यू ही प्रिवेल करना चाहिए, ये मैं मानता हूं। और चेंजेस कुछ भी हों, लेकिन जुडिशरी की इंडिपेंडेंस बनी रहनी चाहिए ताकि पब्लिक का फेथ इसमें बना रहे। थैंक यू सो मच।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ऑनरेबल जस्टिस लोचन for giving your views, very very clear views, and Honorable Justice Lochan Mehrotra has mentioned very very clearly कि supremacy रहनी चाहिए judges की, although he suggested some suggestions for the collegium, वो accept होते हैं या नहीं होते हैं वो अलग चीज है, but what he says is the system still is far better than it was earlier, and the government cannot put their own nominees. Although nepotism, he talked about nepotism. We will be definitely talking about the nepotism, whether it is there in everything, everywhere or not, or whether we are getting, even today our CGI, present CGI is also blamed to be under the same thing. But I'm sure that he's quite a qualified and learned person holding this very important post. Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Mehrotra, for giving your very, very frank views. Definitely, I will come to you in the next round and I will ask some questions. Before now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he's Judge Pramod Kumar Goel. Judge Pramod Kumar Goel is a BSc LLB Honors LLM, is the former district and session judge. He received University Medal decoration for first position in LLB Honors by the Aligarh Muslim University. He is having over 35 years long excellent career in UP Judicial Service. He organized a state level conference in Lucknow on making legal aid and justice for women from investigation to decision a reality through a sanitized judiciary. He was rewarded in cash by the state government of Uttar Pradesh for excellent judgments in Hindi language. He attended various regional and national and international conferences. He worked as secretary to the single-member Judicial Inquiry Commission constituted by the state government of Uttar Pradesh for judicial inquiry in the matters of violence, etc. in Jawhar Bagh, Mathura. He worked as secretary to the monitoring committee constituted by Honorable NGT, Principal Bench, New Delhi, in the matter dealing with pollution in Hindon River and its tributaries. Worked as secretary to the inquiry committee for judicial inquiry of violence, etc. in Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. He is honorary legal consultant to Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. He is advisor to Shobit deemed to be University Meerut. Welcome, Judge Pramod Kumar Goel on our show. Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, you have heard what Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra has mentioned. But before I will take your views, I would like to read out the opinion sent by our viewers. And the opinion has been sent by Mr. Dulichand Karel, the National President of Bharatiya Swarnkar Sangh. And opinion is, judicial ratified supporting of dictatorship because almost other pillars of democracy is already overruled and lost their autonomous existence. Even Chief Justice of India has told that judiciary is also under pressure. These are the views of Mr. Dulichand Karel, the National President of Bharatiya Swarnkar Sangh. Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, you have heard the view of Mr. Dulichand Karel also, as well as the earlier views of earlier viewers. We would like to know, and you worked in the judicial system, and you have seen how the judicial system is working. We would like to know your views on government versus judiciary. Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, please.
पंजाब नेशनल बैंक के प्रणेता और महान स्वतंत्रता संग्राम सेनानी लाला लाजपत राय जी की जन्मतिथि पर आप सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत बधाइयां। Broadly speaking, a government is a system or group of people governing an organized society, generally a state. Government is a means by which organizational policies are enforced, and the mechanism for determining policies is also worked out. Government, in its broad sense and associative definition, consists of legislature, executive, and judiciary. The functions and responsibilities of the above three organs of the government in India are well defined by the governing principles and philosophy as contained in the Constitution of India. We have the central government and the state governments. That is, the polity in India is dual, but there is one unified judicial system for the entire Republic of India, meaning thereby that the Indian judiciary is integrated with the Supreme Court as the highest court. मेरे विद्वान पूर्व वक्ता श्री राजीव लोचन मेहरोत्रा जी ने बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर केशवानंद भारती के केस कर लेते हुए बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर की थ्योरी को डिफाइन किया। मैं वहीं से शुरू करता हूं। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, जैसे राजीव जी ने कहा कि आर्टिकल 124 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जुडिशरी की स्थापना के संबंध में प्रावधान किया गया है। मैं उसको थोड़ा सा आपकी अनुमति से पढ़ना चाहूंगा।
Sorry,
Article
Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, we can't see you. Advocate Jain, can you see Judge Goel? No. Okay. So, Judge, I think there is a some network issue at your side. So either now you are there. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, please. No, again, your please switch on your video. We can't see you. Yes, now it is okay.
Now?
But network is weak. Okay, you please go ahead. At least we can see you.
Article
But
Article 124. Not audible.
now audible. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. आप हाँ सुनाई पड़ रहा है.
Okay. Article 124 deals with the establishment and constitution of the Supreme Court. It states that there shall be a Supreme Court of India constituting of a Chief Justice of India, and until Parliament by law prescribes a larger number of not more than Article 124(2) deals with appointment of judges and provides that every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal after consultation. I will emphasize the words after consultation with such of the judges of the Supreme Court and of the High Court in the states as the President may deem necessary for the purpose. The basic structure of this article is after consultation with such of the judges. The question is, who will initiate the consultation? Is it a particular person or an institution which the Constitution does not provide? The separation of power is very specific, though the line is very thin and invisible. And when we start crossing that line, it creates confusion and what you say, tutu meme. The Keshman Bharti judgment provides that we cannot amend the basic structure of the Constitution. And to me, with all regards and respects to all, we cannot interpret a particular provision of law that may amount to rewrite it. I'll come again to the words employed in Article 124 on consultation. It means that the consultation has to initiate from the executive. No doubt. The consultation is not just superficial, but meaningful. It has to be meaningful. As Justice Rajiv Lochanji said, that the judges better know who is a fit person to be appointed as a judge. But there has to be a clear-cut policy, well known to all, who may be considered and who may not be considered. What may be the provisions for initiating his name, and what may be the reasons for eliminating or discarding him. Having no specific policy creates this tutu meme. I initiate the name in the name of collegium, thinking that I am the only person who may know everything about a person who is proposed to be elevated. But the executive, acting through the president, since the president has to appoint the judges, the Constitution provides that the president will generally work on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. That is the cabinet of the government. क्या हम जजेस के अपॉइंटमेंट में इस एग्जीक्यूटिव के रोल को मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं इस तरीके से? द क्वेश्चन इज दैट, क्या कोलेजियम सिस्टम के इन्वेंट से पहले जजेस का अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं होता था? अगर होता था, क्या वो जजेस इतने प्रबुद्ध नहीं थे, या उस कोलेजियम सिस्टम के इन्वेंट होने के बाद जो जजेस का अपॉइंटमेंट हुआ, क्या वो उनसे बहुत अच्छे थे? The question is, we have to strike a balance. और मेरा तो ये मानना है कि अगर इस तू में वो खत्म करना है तो कोलेजियम सिस्टम ठीक है, होना चाहिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है उसमें, बट देयर हैज टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक पॉलिसीज. द पॉलिसीज मस्ट बी वेल नोन. द पॉलिसी मस्ट बी इन द पब्लिक डोमेन. ये नहीं कि एक पर्टिकुलर पर्सन, जैसे राजीव जी ने कहा कि भाई यहाँ पैदा हुए तो हम समझ गए कि इनको तो जज बनना ही बनना है. नहीं, उस व्यक्ति की मेधा, उस व्यक्ति का न्याय व्यवस्था के प्रति समर्पण और संभावित योगदान, ये ऐसी चीजें हैं जिनका कंसिडरेशन होना ही चाहिए. सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं कि मैं एक पर्टिकुलर व्यक्ति को चाहता हूं तो उसको एलिवेट कर दिया जाए, या मैं एक पर्टिकुलर व्यक्ति को नहीं चाहता हूं तो उसको एलिमिनेट कर दिया जाए. ऐसे भी चीजें सामने आई हैं इस कोलेजियम सिस्टम में कि लोगों को उसके प्रति कहना, अगर हम ये कहें कि गलत नहीं है तो गलत नहीं होगा. कुछ लोगों को मैं थोड़ा सा एक इसको स्पष्ट करना चाहूंगा. कुछ समय पूर्व कुछ लोगों को इसलिए एलिवेशन के जोन से बाहर कर दिया गया कि उनके रिटायरमेंट में 6 महीने से कम का समय 6 महीने या उससे कम का समय बचा था. लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली उसी कॉलेजियम ने इस एलिमिनेशन के कुछ समय बाद ऐसे लोगों का नाम कंसीडर किया जो रिटायर हो चुके थे और सेवा में, न्यायिक सेवा में नहीं थे, न्यायिक सेवा से सेवानिवृत्त हो चुके थे. और उसका जस्टिफिकेशन क्या दिया गया कि वैकेंसी थी लेकिन कॉलेजियम की मीटिंग नहीं हो सकी थी. क्या इस प्रकार के जब उदाहरण या दृष्टांत सामने होंगे तो क्या कॉलेजियम के ऊपर लोगों को प्रश्न चिन्ह लगाना उपयुक्त नहीं होगा? इसलिए मैं फिर कहता हूं कि अगर कॉलेजियम सिस्टम की सुप्रीमेसी को रखना है तो स्पष्ट पॉलिसीज का निर्धारण और एक एलिवेशन की नीति का निर्धारण करना आवश्यक होगा. थैंक यू.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जस्टिस प्रमोद कुमार गोयल फॉर गिविंग योर व्यूज. और आपने कॉलेजियम की बात दोनों तरफ से रखी. आपका कहना था कि गवर्नमेंट का इंटरफेरेंस नहीं भी होना चाहिए, लेकिन आपने कहा कॉलेजियम में भी अपने को चेंज करना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो लोग भी कई बार जो डिसीजंस लेते हैं वो अचंभित करते हैं. और जो भी अगर किसी का भी वंशवाद वाला जो आरोप है उसको भी हमें देखना चाहिए कि जो भी लिया जाए वो योग्य होना चाहिए, समर्पित होना चाहिए. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, हु इज गोइंग टू डिफाइन द डेडिकेशन ऑफ ए individual, whether he is dedicated or not? Ultimately someone has to decide. But anyway, you have made your point very, very clearly. I am sure the viewers who are watching our show are getting the views, the real expert views about this, instead of listening from the media their views. Our aim is to bring the views of the legal experts without interference, so that they can give their views frankly and their expert views. Thank you very much, Judge Pramod Kumar Goyal. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Honorable Justice Sudhir Kumar Saxena. Honorable Justice Sudhir Kumar Saxena is the former High Court judge. He was graduated in law in 1976, registered with Bar Council of UP in the year 1976, practiced in Allahabad High Court on civil, constitutional and criminal side for more than 17 years, represented various banks, local bodies and development authorities. He was standing counsel for state of UP from 1990 to 94. held office in bar associations, appointed in higher judicial service on May 12, 1994, promoted as district and session judge on November 28, 2006, elevated as additional judge on September 5, 2011, took oath as permanent judge on August 6, 2013. He worked as chairman of Magistrate Court Monitoring Controller, member of July Justice Committee, High Court and Legal Aid Committee, Lucknow Bench. He was appointed as chairman of UP Public Service Tribunal on 1st February 2017. He retired on 31st January 2022. He was designated senior advocate by Supreme Court of India on 20th May 2022. Welcome, Honorable Justice Sudhir Kumar Saxena on our show. Honorable Justice Saxena, are you there? Yes, please. Honorable Justice Saxena, before I will take your views, I am taking the view of one of our viewer, and this opinion has come from Colonel M.K. Singh, retired. He was awarded President's Commendation thrice, including one President Gallantry Award. And his view is, it actually appears to be an issue of trust deficit and effort to overreach on the part of both. Need of the hour is to let the moral wisdom prevail upon both to interpret the constitutional provisions in national interest rather than effort to quench own thrust of overreach. This was the view of Colonel M.K. Singh, who was awarded President's Commendation thrice, including one President Gallantry Award. Honorable Justice Saxena, you have heard the views of Honorable Justice Mehrotra as well as Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, as well as opinions given by our viewers. Now, we would like to know your views on government versus judiciary. Honorable Justice Sudhir Kumar Saxena, please. Please unmute. Please unmute. Honorable Saxena, Justice Saxena, please unmute. No, it has not yet been unmuted. Please unmute. We can't hear you. You are on mute. You have to unmute. Just unmute on the mobile. If you are on the mobile, there is a thing which you have to just touch it. No, the other one that you have to touch for the video as well as for this thing. Both. You are on mute, Justice Saxena. Okay, I think because he's traveling, we can see he's in the car. So we will take his views when he's reached to some place or wherever we can listen him carefully. So I would like to go for my next panelist guest, and he is Advocate K.C. Jain. Advocate K.C. Jain, are you there? No, I think he's also not there right now. So I will move to the next panelist guest, and he's Advocate Deo Prakash Singh. Advocate Deo Prakash Singh is the advocate at Patna High Court. He is member in several government advisory bodies. To his credit, the monitoring and conducting of the service condition of a large number of employees to the tune of more than 50,000 for mega corporates, MNCs, PSUs, and government bodies. He is a member of Regional EPFO Committee, Bihar and Jharkhand. He is chairman of Labor Resource Subcommittee, Bihar Industries Association. He is president of Central Association of Private Security Industries, Bihar chapter. His articles are published in several prestigious magazines. He is author of Labor Law Support LLS, published by Bihar Industries Association, which was released by former President of India, late Shri Pranab Mukherjee. Welcome, Advocate Deo Prakash Singh, on our show. But before I will go and take your view, I would like to read the view of one of our viewer, and the view has come from Rotarian Dr. N.M. Nigam. She is the chair of Organ and Blood Donation Committee, Rotary International District 3110, as well as she was retired. She's a retired principal of MMVPG College, Kanpur. And her view is, judiciary is the highest seat of justice and runs according to constitution and laws. It generally never acts in an arbitrary manner, rather adheres to the tenets of constitution. Governments and their ideology may change, but still they are the voice of people. Law and constitution stand eternal, hence there should be no space for controversy between government and judiciary. To quote the famous line from Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar, Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. Those who sit on high pedestal of authority must be above suspicion, impartial, just, and should be trustworthy above self. whether in government or in judiciary. At the same time, judiciary should avoid activism in judiciary and should be true and sincere to those who blindly trust them. Then the topic would be government and judiciary and not government versus judiciary. These are the views by Rotarian Dr. N.M. Nigam. She is the chair organ and blood donation committee, Rotary International District 3110, as well as retired principal of MMVPG College, Kanpur. Welcome, Advocate Dev Prakash Singh. Advocate Dev Prakash Singh, you have heard the views of Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra, as well as Judge Pramod Kumar Goel, as well as our viewers' opinion. Now, you being as an advocate, leading advocate, practicing in High Court, as well as you are in a committee which were appointed by the state, so you also knows the functioning of the government, how they appoint the committee, whom they select, whether they are selecting on merits or their nepotism is there or something else. Similarly, so we would like to know from you, you can give your views very openly, freely about the government versus judiciary. Advocate Dev Prakash Singh, please.
Good morning, Goel Sahab, and good morning to all the learned fellow panelists. This topic we have earlier also discussed. Executive versus judiciary. You have said the government versus judiciary. What we are going to discuss is that everybody is saying that the constitution is paramount. Rule of law is paramount. Constitution is above all. Yes, collegium system is not perfect. We also agree. There are persons on collegium system. But as Aristotle has told once, democracy is the worst form of governance except the other forms of governance. Collegium may be worst form of selection of the judges, but it is best among except the others. Because what the government is showing, what we are seeing as a diatribe between what you have said, the tutu meme between the government and the collegium system or the judiciary. What the government is saying, that judiciary is overloaded in selection of the judges, they don't get time. It is the only country where judges appoint judges. It is also said that this is not the supremacy of the representative government, because India is a country who is ruled by its own representatives. But the whole objective behind all these of questioning the collegium system exposes by two factors. One, the INB and RAW report in the selection of judges, which has become public by the Supreme Court. The sexual orientation of a particular person, or if a person criticizes the prime minister of a country, which is the fundamental right of any person in democracy to criticize even the prime minister of the country, he is not eligible for to become the justice. Is it the strengthening of judiciary? Is it the strengthening of the saying that constitution is above all? And not only this, when the highest constitutional authority said that I don't subscribe to the basic doctrine structure, doctrine of basic structure, what type of thing it is? We may visualize the sinister design of the governance, what the government want to make the judiciary. Is government is going to create another parrot in the system? Because in CBI also, the CBI director is appointed by the committee of Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, and one leader of the opposition. But why the CBI is being called the parrot of the government? Why ED is drawing flag from the people? Because it works under the government. Once when Nixon, after the Watergate scandal in the USA, when he has come after seclusion, one journalist had asked, can a president of a nation commit illegal during being the president? Nixon said, if he is the president, what he does is illegal, cannot be illegal. And what your president has said, do you want to bring that type of system in our country? In America, Senate appoints the judges. In America, there is no separation of judiciary from the executive. But one thing is different. In USA, the amendment of constitution is very tough. Whereas in our country, amendment of constitution under Article 368 is much more easier. After the promulgation of constitution in America, only 27 amendments have come. Whereas just in 74 years of independence, more than 100 amendments have come in India. Don't you think the government will come with the amendment that election will not be held in 5 years, it will be held in 10 years, or it will not be held till a particular person is the prime minister? Is it so tough to amend? It can be amended. The basic structure what Kesavanan Bharti has given, what Chief Justice of India has said, it is the North Star of the governance of India. This is the guiding star of our country. Basic secular is the basic country. Independence of judiciary is the basic nature of the country, basic nature of structure of our constitution. And one thing is clear and decided, that once the basic structure gone, say goodbye to democracy, say goodbye to the governance rule of law, because basic structure is the only thing which separates the power of the judiciary from the legislation. Judiciary has a power under Article 32 and Article 226 to examine, to verify any act of the legislature, that whether it is in consistence with the fundamental rights embedded in under the Constitution of North. Under Article 13, if any law is made or enacted by the Parliament, if it abridges any of the fundamental rights, it will be void to that extent. Who will decide this now? When the Vice President is saying that the supremacy of legislature, what does it mean? This is not an easy question. We have to decide. This is a ping pong game between the judiciary and the governance. We have to think very seriously. The age of darkness will down in India. The whole country will become another China or another like any other country which is ruled by one person. The people are saying that the bar council should come and criticize the government for saying such type of things. But I think the whole country, the whole nation, all opposition parties should come. The moment basic structure goes down, what has been hammered by the Vice President of India. He says that he had been professionally trained and he had been a soldier of law. What type of soldier he is? What type of strengthening he is doing to the governance? He is doing to the judiciary. Once the basic structure goes, he will also not survive as the Vice President of India. Because Vice President is also a post of the Constitution. President is also a post of the Constitution. If the Constitution will not survive, they will also not survive. So I would want to say that government should not touch the naked wire of 11,000 volt, which will burn the whole country's constitution and whole country's governance. This will herald the age of long darkness, and another age of darkness will down in our nation. We have just got in independence just up to 75 years before. There is very much clear-cut said in Article 145. I just want to produce in Article 145(3) that whenever there comes any question of constitutional law, the minimum number of judges who are to sit for the purpose of deciding any case involving a substantial question of law as to the interpretation of this constitution or for the purpose of hearing any reference under Article 43 shall be 5. What I want to say that Chief Justice of India come with the constitutional bench and decide this question. Yes, there are imperfections on the collegium system. MOP has to be chalked out, guidelines has to be chalked out for it has been said that the every judge is going to be is suffering from the nepotism. This is not good. It needs amelioration, it needs improvement. It is not a perfect system at all. But at the same time, we cannot mortgage the independence of judiciary to the executive. And one thing is very much clear. Under Article 144, all authorities, civil and judicial in the territory of India shall act in aid of the Supreme Court. What it says? Supreme Court is the guardian of Constitution. And what the people are doing, what type of thing it is being done. We have not seen such type. Whenever there is a majoritarian government in the parliament, there is a effort to erode the basic structure of the, whether it may be the 42nd Amendment, whether it may be the elevation of one of the Chief Justice of India, Mr. A.N. Ray, who has become Chief Justice after Keswar and Bharti judgment. And he also tried to hammer the basic structure. The 42nd Amendment has also tried to hammer the basic structure. The same thing.
I
we
think
have to protect the judiciary. We have to protect the.
Okay, we can't. I think there is some disturbance from Advocate Singh. So thank you very much, Advocate Singh, for making your views very, very strongly. And according to Advocate Singh, we have we must continue with the environment or even use this thing very openly about the Vice President also. So thank you very much, Mr. Singh, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest. He is Advocate K.C. Jain. Advocate K.C. Jain is a renowned social activist and Supreme Court lawyer. He is practicing law for last 42 years on the civil side. He appeared in Supreme Court and Allahabad High Court in several important cases. He is active on various social platforms of the city of Agra. He filed several PILs in the Supreme Court regarding the RTI Act, etc. Recently also, he filed a petition relating to road safety. His large number of articles were published in law journals. His articles were also published in many newspapers on various subjects, including environment, RTI, culture, etc. He has varied interest, especially in RTI and environment. Welcome, Advocate K.C. Jain, on our show. Advocate K.C. Jain, being a senior advocate, and you are very much associated with Supreme Court as well as the High Court, and you are seen being a very eminent personality of Agra. You are also seeing the role of executive or role of the government very closely. This tutu meme, which I said earlier also, which is happening recently in the media, is very, very ugly, I must say. Use the word ugly, because for a persons who are not in a legal or who believe in democracy, who believe in constitution, who believe in majority also, feel something very fishy what is happening. So we would like to know from you as a social activist also, your views on the government versus judiciary. But before that, I will just take one view of a judiciary I just received of one of our viewer opinion. It has come from Advocate Tapan Paul. He is an advocate and founder member of Saket Bar Association and ex-Deputy Director Government of India. His view is judiciary is represented by the courts and has the function of resolving conflicts related to laws. Leaving the dominant power in appointment of judges to the executive could leave India without an independent judiciary, and that is not a good idea. These were the views of Advocate Tapan Paul, advocate and former member of Saket Bar and ex-Deputy Director Government of India. Everyone, all the panelists, paucity of time, so I would not like to repeat all the names. We would like to know your views on government versus judiciary. Advocate K.C. Jain, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lal, for inviting me. The entire incident that is taking place is most unfortunate. We should learn to respect institutions. The judiciary is one of the most respected institution. People, as a last resort, move to the court with the hope to get justice in their cause. If the central government and its functionaries discredit an institution like Supreme Court or the High Courts, I think it is the most unfortunate event, and none who is right-minded would like it. In fact, the present government, after the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act of 2014 was struck down by the Supreme Court, got too much annoyed, I should say, with the judiciary, because they thought that the parliament has got the supremacy. I don't blame anyone. The elected representatives think from their own point of view that they represent the people's will. As they say, we the people. And they represent the feelings and sentiments of the people. And therefore, their choices, their opinion should count. That is how they think that. But the government must consider, in the wider interest of the democracy, we are governed by constitutional democracy. Constitution is supreme. Constitution looks forward and lays down for separation of powers. The judiciary has to act independently, and as rightly interpreted and construed by the Supreme Court, it is one of the basic point of the structure of the Constitution. It forms basic structure that the judiciary should act independently. By saying that we the people represent they represent the people's will, and ultimately they should choose the judges and not the judges should choose the judges, is not the right stand, because then ultimately it will become the not judiciary but the again elected representatives who would act as per the wishes and will of the elected representatives, rather acting independently. Because the judiciary is to adjudge the competence of the legislation, whether the legislation made by the state legislature or the union parliament is valid or not on ground of competence, whether law made is reasonable or unreasonable on the touchstone of Article 14, whether the exercise of the power was arbitrary. Many such questions often arise. Those who approach to the courts, they know that the courts don't interfere so easily with the executive actions. It is only when they are convinced that yes, there is arbitrariness, there is lack of competence, there is lack of ability to enact a law, then only they interfere. Otherwise, it is not easy that you approach the court and the court will give you an order or a direction. Not at all. But the way the statement of one of the judges was retweeted by the law minister, which said that judiciary has hijacked constitution. It is highly improper. And it can be an individual's opinion, but it should not be the opinion of the law minister. Similarly, when the law minister says that the Chief Justice or the Supreme Court, by by disclosing the opinion of the IB, has done wrong. They say that was the administrative work. Administrative work, of course, the appointment of judges is maybe administrative work. It is a constitutional, rather it should be a constitutional function. And if the opinion on one hand, the government or its functionaries are saying that the judiciary is not properly working. It is usurping powers which the government has, and it is acting with nepotism, favoritism. It is not appointing the right people. And on the other hand, when the judiciary tells that the opinion of the IB or the government is not correct on this ground, then they say that it is an administrative function and it should not have been brought in media or brought before all. Therefore, ultimately, we have to strengthen the democracy. And for strengthening the democracy and the constitutional democracy, we need separation of powers. But of course, it is also, the government is also to some extent correct that there have been some flaws in the in the selection of candidates. They may not be so inclusive approach of the judges. Therefore, the selection of the candidates needs to be revisited. It should be done in a much wider way, with transparency instead of opacity. Therefore, how it can be ensured, how the system reforms can be brought, and judges can also be made accountable, because as rightly said by Justice Mehrotra, it is very difficult to impeach a corrupt judge, even an inefficient judge, a judge who does not have the right approach. You can't impeach him. Therefore, the procedure of impeachment or the in-house inquiry or the open inquiry, whatever reforms we want to bring, that should be brought so that people and the elected representative and the government has also a feeling that yes, the judges are accountable, and not that they are sitting in a place where you can't even tell truth about them because you always fear for the contempt. Therefore, the sword of contempt keeps hanging even when you say something true against a judge. Therefore, the judges must also consider that they are part of the democracy. They are there because of the Constitution. They are there because of the people, and their approach should be public oriented, and with the view to give justice to the people. And they should be accountable, because none can be one who is non-accountable. Ultimately, if they are getting money from the public exchequer, public is paying from their own taxes to their salaries, their perks, their facilities. They are also sacrificing, they are also working hard, but they have to be accountable and they have to deliver. The government is also to make the judiciary stronger. The judge case ratio is to be improved. The case population and the judge population ratio is to be improved. The infrastructure is to be improved. People are frustrated with the present justice delivery system, where they have to keep for decades to get a justice. One generation dies, another generation or third generation is able to get justice. Or what kind of justice it is if you get it after 30 years, 40 years, or 50 years, when it is too long, too late to get it. Therefore, the entire focus of the controversy should not be who has the primacy, who has the superiority, but the focus and discussion focal point should be how can we make the justice delivery system effective, timely, and cost efficient. Now, to approach to the Supreme Court is a very costly affair. No weaker section person can ever dream of approaching the Supreme Court, where you have to pay lakhs and lakhs of rupees for a hearing. Therefore, I would say that the government should now reconsider, instead of discussing on the question of primacy, question of right of power of appointment. They should now leave it for some time in the cold storage and now focus it how to reduce the backlog, how to make the judiciary more efficient, with the better infrastructure, with more judges. The pendency of the appointment of the judges should also be cleared. Ultimately, the judges' names have been recommended and they are not being appointed. With all these words, I would say that this tutu meme should come to a halt, or if the government think that it has a right to pursue it, let it be kept in a cold storage for 5 decades, 4 decades. Let the judicial system be the first point to be discussed, how to make it more timely, how to make it more efficient, and how the justice can be delivered in a time-bound manner, in a cost-effective manner, and in a justice-oriented approach. Thank you, Mr. Lal.
Thank you very much, Advocate K.C. Jain, for giving your views, very, very clear views. Paucity of time, I will not summarize. I would like to just check up with Honorable Justice Saxena. Are you there, Honorable Justice Saxena? Please switch on your video. Please switch on your video. We can't see you. Please switch on your video. Yes, please. Yes, now you are there. So, Advocate Saxena, I have already, Honorable Justice Saxena, we have already introduced you, and I have also read the opinion from one of the viewers. We would like to know from you your views on government versus judiciary. Honorable Justice Sudhir Kumar Saxena, please.
Good morning, Mr. Goel, and to all panelists. I'm sorry I disturbed your schedule because of the network problem, but it appears that the heat of today's debate is the various statements made by Law Minister and Vice President of the India. Article 50 specifically says that states shall take steps for separation of powers from executive. So therefore, there is a definite boundaries providing the Constitution. However, an impression is being created as if judiciary is encroaching upon the field occupied by the legislature or could have been occupied. The criticism of Law Minister can be summarized as that: number one, there is opacity in the collegium. Number two, Supreme Court deciding bail applications. Number three, it should not have published the minutes of the objections of the government. Number four, there are a large number of cases which are not being decided. I'll take one by one because on other matters, the speakers have already spoken. So far as High Court cases are pending, you will find that more than half of the cases are by or against the state governments or central government. Government officers, they shirk their duty. They don't want to decide and they wait for the orders by the court. More than lakhs contempt petitions are pending in India. Even in Allahabad High Court, more than 20,000 contempt petitions are pending. Why? It means in those cases, they are not following the orders and it is leading to unnecessary litigation to High Court, Supreme Court, and then review curative petition. So there is a tendency not to follow the orders passed in the government. Lots of tribunals are vacant. Vacancies in the district courts are lying. These vacancies are to be filled by the central government and the state government, not by the High Court. Why they are not filling this? Entire burden of deciding 5 crore cases has come to us as only Justice Chanchud has to decide the cases. That is wrong. The maximum pendency is at the level of district courts and the tribunals. In Supreme Court, High Court pendency is there, but then it again consists of most of the cases which are or for or against the state government or central government. They don't decide. Why can't Law Minister develop a mechanism where the cases will be scrutinized and will be disposed of then and there? And contempt, this should not be heard in India. Why should there be notion that government officers will not follow the orders by the court? This is not heard in anywhere else. Once court orders finally, it has to be carried out. So these are the litigation, these are the gray areas. So far as bail absence are concerned, you know, Mr. This is all pervasive pan-India phenomena that district courts are not granting bails. And this is, we can take judicial notice of this, that people are framed unnecessarily for political reasons or for inimical reasons. They are not getting bail from district courts and high courts. Now you want them to face the ordeal of trial for 20 years. Supreme Court will not grant, and who else will grant bail? This is a question of liberty. So this is wrong. Perhaps they think they have in their mind the American Supreme Court where bail doesn't come, but they forget that the bail there is granted by the county magistrate. Lower magistrate, they grant the bail, but it is satisfied that he has his family, he has a ration card, he has an Aadhaar card, or some identity. Here, once you grant bail, you are required to file 2 sureties, local sureties. How will one company will file local sureties? I'm taking name. So the problems are onerous. Therefore, one has to go to higher court, Supreme Court and High Court. Then they say that there's opacity. Law of land is that once Supreme Court reiterates the names, government is bound by them. Article 74, we know, once cabinet reiterates resolution, then President is bound to sign it. Why there is hitch in this? A collective decision is taken by the four or five Supreme Court judges. Then they don't decide. Again, send back the file. If this time they are sending back the file, raising new old objections, then Supreme Court duty bound to regard its opinion, reasons for disagreement, and making public. They should know that we are living in an inclusive democracy where Christian, Jain, Sikh, Isai, everybody has a right to be considered and appointed. Now, merely because somebody shares an article, somebody shares something against ruling dispensation, that cannot be the basis for rejecting the name. In America, President Biden's office is being searched. Here, can you see? Can you imagine when even the distant relative of politician can't be touched, and he will not be arrested. He will not be case will not be registered. FIR will not be registered. Maximum problem in India is for registering the FIR. And you see, Mr. Goel, unless you employ some source from above or under, you won't get the FIR registered. This is the problem, especially in troubled states. So therefore, the criticism is absolutely unfounded. Yes, you are right that there's some faults in the collegium system also. It is creation of the judgments, because we have seen twice senior most judge was superseded in India. So some system had to evolve from, now we have evolved from within. I'm seeing judiciary evolved from within, and the Chief Justice represent the collective institutional opinion by taking the opinion of different judges who have worked in the high courts, the four senior most judges. What else can be there? And then who else knows better about the advocates except the judges? We know who is appearing, who is arguing, who is a better advocate, who has the integrity, who has sincerity. They are not. Of course, they can suggest, and it's wrong to say that government is not having say. Now, recently we have seen the collegium, a general secretary of the national party has been recommended from southern states as a judge. I mean, this is not hard. Any political person is getting to the higher position. This is not that. But the Supreme Court has done it. Therefore, Supreme Court is taking view that it's inclusive. If somebody is sincere and honest, then he should be considered. We have inclusive. Everybody has to be considered. Of course, the shortcoming there that there's not broad-based zone of consideration. That's right. Number two, there is a difference in approach. Mr. P.K. Goel likely suggested that somebody was appointed after retirement. He was considered after retirement, and some were not considered because they had left 6 months. That's a gray areas. And then there's no secretariat. There's no forum for complaint, for questioning the judgments of questioning the personal interest of the judges, questioning the integrity of the judges. So that should be there. So we can improve the system. And it's not that Parliament has not overturned our judgments, Supreme Court's judgments. We note custom case, then enemy property case, Shavano case, number of Essential Commodities Act case. So they have overturned the judgment, removing the basis of the judgment. They can again do it, but then we cannot leave in their hands exclusively. They want to include into college system. That cannot be done, because, and Mr. Goel, may I suggest that government is already referring their names through Advocate General, Attorney General. Advocate General says, yes, Chief Justice, this boy is doing well. So this naturally, if he is Chief Standing Counsel, Government Advocate or Deputy Advocate General, so they are the government people. Advocate General, Attorney General, Solicitor General, they suggest names and they are considered and they are appointed also. So it is not that their people are not being considered, they want to have their share in the cake. So that's not correct. Yeah. So my submission is that Supreme Court, so far as collegium system is concerned, they are not doing anything wrong. So collegium system is better. It has to stay. Of course, some amendments can be made. MOP, SOP has not been prepared so far. Secretariat has not been prepared so far. But then government, there's a sustained effort to attack the judiciary. Now, Vice President is saying that they are attacking basic structure. They want to say tomorrow amendment will come, 368, remove the parliament, remove the procedure of prime minister. There will be one president only. This is precursor to all these things. This is never heard, and this basic structure is accepted in all the neighboring countries and other countries also. So even questioning this, that shows if everything is not well. This is a wake-up call for everyone, especially from the Bar Association, to defend this. Thank you, Mr. Goel. I have to attend another meeting. I'm in the midst of meeting. I'm sorry for disturbing you. I will not be able to answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Saxena, for giving your views. Although we know that you are busy and attending the meetings, but at least you have given the time. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite my last but not the least panelist guest with us, and he's Advocate Shivang Bhargava. Advocate Shivang Bhargava is a fifth-generation lawyer. No nepotism here, although I know this family for so long, so I know that they are leading advocates of Mathura. Advocate Shivang Bhargava is a fifth-generation lawyer practicing arbitration, criminal and civil litigation at Delhi and Mathura. He did his schooling from the Sindhya School, Gwalior. He did graduation from National Law University and Judicial Academy, Assam. There, he was the Joint Secretary of Student Bar. He competitions parade at Rajpath, New Delhi. Welcome, Advocate Shivang Bhargava on our show. But before that, I would like to take the view of one of our viewers. He's Professor Dr. R.K. Arya. He's the Professor of International Economics at Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad. And his view is government is holding the view that the judges should also come in purview of public scrutiny because their judgment is weighed and watched by the public. Government also doubts that judges are biased in appointment of judges. The element of biasness in them cannot be completely ruled out. It is also not good that judiciary feels pressure from the government, and once it happens, system would be derailed of no advantage to any. The problem in this session has become more acute because the government, who is carrying the agenda of Hindutva, does not want to be obstructed by the delay in judgments of Gyan, Vapi, Krishna Bhumi after it has successfully navigated the Ram Janam Bhumi. I would like to clarify that these are the personal views of Professor Dr. R.K. Arya. Neither me nor our channel or any of the channels who are associated are subscribing these views. So it is his views, but being in a democratic country, we have to express the views. Everyone has the right to express. So I'm just reading the views which he has mentioned to this. No doubt, questioning the Supreme Court calls for contempt, but the question is why we have landed in judgment of 370 CA are yet to be delivered by Supreme Court, and government in any case would want to hold itself true, also zooming on majority in the parliament. Otherwise, why not before these issues were racked up in the previous years? Supreme Court does not want to lose right on collegium because it has already been on immunization, EWS and Ayodhya, besides other contentious issues are still pending with it. On discussions of Gyan Vapi debate, I think I will not read because it's quite long, and I would not like to take any views more than 50 words, but it is long enough, and it is basically discussing some judgments, which is not a correct thing on a public forum. So I would not like to discuss that. So I would like to go to my panelist guest, and he is Advocate Shivang Bhargava. You have heard everyone, and you have heard the opinions of our viewers also. You would like to know, as a fifth generation young advocate, what are your views? Government versus judiciary. Advocate Shivang Bhargava, please.
First of all, a very good morning to all the dignitaries present in the panel. I got to learn so much, and a very good morning to all the viewers as well. So talking about all the views you have put up from all the dignitaries so far, as you were reading the comment which was prescribed earlier, we talk about healthy democracy, talking about constraints, talking about how a positive criticism should be inculcated in a healthy democracy, as you were reading out the entire, how the lacunas of the law or the functioning of the judiciary or the functioning of the courts have been very delayed, and it has its own constraints. But coming to the bone of contention for today, it is basically government versus judiciary, which is very aptly said because it is always versus government versus judiciary. Let's put it this way. If elected representative of the parliament today, how is he elected? He is elected through a majority share of the vote from the people. I'm breaking it down for the viewers from younger to elders in a non-legal way, then I'll take it a legal way. First of all, so let's break down the election part. So elective representative needs to have more than 50% if we have a multi-party system, like so many candidates standing up. So that represents a percentage of an elected representative throughout the different structures, different cities and different areas. So elected representative does not, we say he represents, but he in the right sense might not be coming up with the interest of the minority, which might be in question. So sometimes judiciary is the only guarding defense for the minority in a country who actually holds the bars where a law might be passed which might not be against the interest of the minority. A law, so you can, in a very frugal way, I can say sometimes the judiciary is the only only boundary which safeguards the interest of the people who are in minority and can be against them as well. So some of the policy, so there comes a point where so many times a law can be challenged, or it is just the interest of the people is not upheld by the law which has been established by the parliament. It has happened many times. It has happened again and again. So coming to the bone of contention, sometimes the people itself need the saving from the government, which is why the separation of power is very necessary for the judiciary to uphold. So what we talk about separation of power, as the Article 50 says it, the basic contention which provides a separation of power is that one branch of government should not carry out the duties of another, which clearly it brings down to the bone of contention today, that how can a government be a machinery or a part where they have their influence in standing or positioning the judges in their accordance. So basically, in the appointment of judges, I think, which clearly prescribed, has been said that it's the absolute death of democracy if government, from not prevailing to the interest of the minority to holding a position where the judiciary itself cannot adjudicate a judgment which can be in favor of the majority entirely. So that brings us to the question how a healthy democracy cannot sustain if there's a government intervention to the part of appointment of judges and the judiciary. And coming to the current debate, if you talk about, let's break it down to the facts of Keshwananda Bharti case, where let's take a walk down the memory lane for the viewers as well. So back in February 1970, there was it was basically the Kerala government which was imposing restrictions on the management of the property, which were basically Hindu monastery engagement. And so basically in the functioning of how the religious owned property would be should not be intervened. That is how the Keshwananda Bharti case, in the light it came to. So it was initially filed where the religious owned property should not be maintained without government interference. That is what the basic structure doctrine was decided upon. So we were setting boundaries exactly as to where the government should be interfering and where government should not be interfering through these basic structure doctrine. And if it comes to the elected representative, they have the they have had the absolute power before this landmark judgment. So this clearly bifurcated the part where how and to what extent should the basically the lawmaking body should have their extent to. So this has been a very critical point to today's debate. And in current views as to how the judiciary should maintain its autonomy, there has been a lot of problems. They say that it's opaque in nature how the elevation of judges currently happen. But to rectify, to basically inculcate government's interference into deciding does not clearly maintains that it's going to create a more transparent system. As recently that the law minister himself, they had opposed to the appointment of a few judges, and they basically gave a report which has of the dissenting opinion regarding those judges. and as the collegium body publicly they basically published their report in the public domain, and which was later on questioned that how this report can be made in public domain, because the report of the raw from the intelligence body to every particular domain, because to maintain its privacy, because it is coming from the intelligence standpoint to other standpoints of security. So government stand is redundant and it becomes oxymoronic in nature, because how they are saying that the clarity cannot be maintained because the collegium system is opaque, and on the other end they are saying when their report is coming into a public domain that it should not be made public because of the security reasons. So the redundancy here, the oxymoronic nature of exactly the hypocrisy of the government is very evident in such practices. And so their interference to limit their power and for a healthy democracy to sustain, I think it's very important as of today that a clear system or guidelines should be inculcated for the judiciary and for the collegium system to the appointment of judges. But government intervention is not the answer, or it's going to be healthy in the longer run for a democracy to sustain. So thank you. That is how I'd like to conclude. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Advocate Bhargav, for giving your views. Time is short. I require only 30. I will give you 30 seconds to reply. My first question goes to Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra. Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra, why now only the war has come in open recently? Why it was not earlier? Is there anything which is disturbing the present government or disturbing the Supreme Court? That's why the bar has come openly now, which we are seeing for last 4 months. It was not seen earlier. What do you say about this, Justice Mehrotra?
Really, it is very inconvenient question asked to me. ये काफी समय से चल रहा था और इनकलकेट अब हुआ है, ये सच है, ये प्रेसिपिटेट अब हुआ है तेजी से, मे बी इन द रेजिम ऑफ ऑनरेबल द प्रेजेंट सीजीआई, लेकिन इसके पहले भी कोशिशें लगातार थी। आपने देखा होगा एनजेसी आया था 2015 में, एनजेसी को स्टक डाउन किया गया था और उसके बाद भी अब शायद गवर्नमेंट को कुछ लग रहा होगा कि शायद कुछ, बट स्टिल आई थिंक कि अभी तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऐसा कोई जजमेंट नहीं आया है जिससे कि हम ये मान के चले कि टसल दोनों ओर से जो हो रही है ये गवर्नमेंट के लिए इनकन्वीनियंस गवर्नमेंट को हुई हो किसी पर्टिकुलर जजमेंट से।
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Justice Mehrotra. Now my question goes to Advocate DP Singh. I think we have Judge Pramod Kumar Goel. Judge Pramod Kumar Goel जी, अगर नेपोटिज्म की इतनी प्रॉब्लम है तो क्यों ना ऐसा करा जाए कि हर पॉलिटिशियन, हर डॉक्टर, हर एडवोकेट और हर जज की 1 या 2 जनरेशन बैन कर दी जाए कि उनके लड़के या लड़की उस व्यवसाय में नहीं जाएं, उस प्रोफेशन में नहीं जाएं जिसमें उनकी पहले जनरेशन है। क्या आपको लगता है कि इसी तरह नेपोटिज्म रुक सकता है? क्योंकि लोग बात कहते हैं कि जज का लड़का जज नहीं बनना चाहिए, लड़की जज नहीं बननी चाहिए, वकील का लड़का वकील नहीं बनना चाहिए, डॉक्टर का लड़का डॉक्टर नहीं बनना चाहिए, तो और पॉलिटिशियन का लड़का पॉलिटिशियन नहीं बनना चाहिए। आपका इस बारे में क्या व्यू है? बहुत छोटा सा आंसर। अनम्यूट कर दीजिए, प्लीज अनम्यूट।
Absolutely a wrong notion based on wrong premises. एक व्यक्ति की योग्यता उसका सर्वोपरि होना चाहिए। वो कहां से आता है, उसके पारिवारिक व्यवसाय क्या है, इररेस्पेक्टिव। अगर मेरे अंदर योग्यता है तो मुझे अपनी योग्यता के अनुसार स्थान मिलना चाहिए। सिर्फ इसलिए मुझको एलिमिनेट ना किया जाए कि मेरे पिता जज थे या मेरे पिता डॉक्टर थे। तो योग्यता ही
थैंक यू जस्ट गोयल जी समय भाव है। थैंक यू वेरी मच। Advocate Singh, majority dictatorship. अगर ऐसा है मेजॉरिटी ही प्रिवेल करना है तो हम ये जुडिशरी क्यों अपॉइंट करते हैं? हर पंचायत में, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, हर स्टेट में 5-5 पंच लोगों को जो भी मेजॉरिटी से इलेक्ट होके आ जाएं उन्हें कर दें और वो लोग हाथ क्या डिसीजन दे दें. कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है जुडिशरी की, कोई पेंडिंग इशू भी नहीं रहेगा. आपका क्या मानना है? फिर कोई भी लड़ाई भी नहीं होगी, ना कॉलेजियम सिस्टम की जरूरत पड़ेगी.
This is the beauty of democratic system. In a democratic system, judiciary is completely separate, and the framers of constitution has provided the Article 15 in which the judiciary has been separated from executives. Until unless judiciary is separate and independent, the constitution will not be above all. What I want to say that
okay,
there should
thank
be.
you. Yeah, time, paucity of time. Next time, Advocate Bhargav. As per the report, about 70 to 80% cases are of government. And if government will appoint their judges, don't you think those judges will never give any judgment against the government, and then who is going to suffer? The general public will suffer. What do you say about this, Advocate Bhargav?
This is exactly what I was reflecting through my whole dialogue. This is exactly where if they have the power, absolute power, everyone, they control the entire system. We are just the puppets of the system.
Okay, thank you very much. So viewers, you have seen today government versus judiciary, what we are seeing for last 2-3 months, and now recently it has become so ugly. It is not suiting for the people who are sitting on higher posts, whether they are elected or whether they are selected. We require a peaceful solution for this. But for that, I think media should also try to find out the facts and figures from the experts like we are trying to do. We have taken the panelists who are from the legal side. We are not taking any politician on our panel because we want to hear from their views. And then people, as a viewer, you have to decide what is correct and what is not correct. But only one thing is there. If the country has to become, India has to become Vishguru, we have to stop this tu meh as early as possible. Otherwise, we will be where we were earlier, or we will not be termed as a Vishguru in future. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Maladu TV India, News Gaon se Samvad Saroka News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. And in our endeavor to bring to you every day new topic. Tomorrow, media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30, and the topic is traditional parenting versus modern parenting. Yes, you heard correctly, traditional parenting versus modern parenting. And our panelists are Rotarian Dr. N.M. Nigam, Club Chair, Organ and Blood Donation Committee, RID 3110, former Principal, MMVPVG College, Kanpur, Miss Parul Jindal, Director, Narayani International School, Member Advisory Forum, Aligarh Smart City, Aligarh, Miss Joycey Rigo, Mrs. India, Dubai 2070, Managing Director, Mustard Collection, UAE, Rotarian Ritika Gupta, CEO, Ma Saraswati Hospital, Mathura, Dr. Urvashi Mittal, District Vice Chairman, Inner Wheel 301, New Delhi, and Miss Seema M. Murarka, Special Executive Officer, Renowned Social Worker, Mumbai. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30. And thank you very much, Honorable Justice Rajiv Lochan Mehrotra. Thank you very much, Judge Pramod Kumar Goel. Thank you very much, Advocate Deo Prakash Singh. Thank you very much, Advocate Shivang Bhargav. And thank you very much, Honorable Justice Saxena, as well as Advocate Jain. And thank you all the viewers for